So if people listen to the Bombcast, you will probably find a slightly more coherent version of some of my feelings as the days have gone by. My mental state has gotten a little more fragile, so I apologize if it is not all quite there. But some feelings I would like to express before we get started are a big thank you to everyone who has given their voice and their time and their body, and I would even say their lives, to help support what is going on in protest of systematic and institutionalized racism and government murder that we've kind of witnessed over the last week there. So a big thank you to those. I think that is super important and brave and hard to do. And thanks everybody who has been able to do it and keeping the pressure up and the volume up on it. It's probably the most important thing there's so much piled on right now for everybody. Mortgages still need to be paid. People still need to this is all on top of so much other stuff. But I think it's important to remember that this is, especially if you're in the United States, this is our country, and this is what you do when you need to check power and you need to call out institutions that have abused it. And this is what it looks like. You need to, when those institutions fail, Americans, people of color, we're all in this as Americans. When people fail, that you need to step up and you need to call them out. And sometimes that's very ugly. And I applaud the people who have been able to keep that up. So thank you very much. I'm sure we'll go around. And again, if you caught the Bombcast, there's more to be said. It has weighed on me as a bunch of other people. So this show might be a little scatterbrained. I apologize for that. But I don't want to hog up all the mic time here. How's everybody else doing?
That's very well said, Vinny. I want to echo what you're saying already. Like, Black Lives Matter unapologetically. I think the police system is very broken. It's very disheartening to see what is being done to a lot of protesters. And I really applaud the bravery and the risks protesters are putting themselves in by going out there and defending our country.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. And when these things happen, I always try to remind myself, talk slowly, think through what you're going to say. And it's hard not to get very emotional and use the wrong. So much language is has so much baggage with it. So, choosing the right words to use. But like, if you I don't want to use the word patriotic because it's so colored, but like, it is what America is. You see these things, you need to step up and raise awareness when there are failings there. And remembering that these are citizens these are people with the same rights we were all born into here. And even if you're not American, when you come over to this country, you have rights, and they're not given to you because of your color of your skin. They're not given to you because of your paycheck. They're not given to you because of who your father was, or they shouldn't be. And when those things are taken away, or when you have institutions that are not serving that public, that's it. You've lost the trust, and the public needs to get out there, and they are. And again, thank you is really, I think, the only thing I can say to the people who are watching this who have been able to do it. And I know there's, like I said earlier, it comes on top of so much other grief and strife. It doesn't mean that suddenly you have a job now, right? or suddenly there's not massive unemployment, or suddenly, your kids aren't sick, or your parents aren't sick, or all the other million things in your life that are happening aren't sick. It's a really incredible, stressful time for a lot of people, and it's very hard.
I mean, I think it speaks volumes that people are out there at a time when, people absolutely know that it is not just a risk of, police violence being inflicted upon them, but literally their health is at risk just by virtue of being out and around people in the middle of the COVID pandemic. And a great number of the people that are out there protesting are the ones that are the most at risk for the most fatal parts of COVID, yet they are still out there. They are putting their bodies on the line. They are speaking, truth to power. And they are being met with overwhelming violence in return. We can sit here and we can, pretend that this is like obviously this is not the first time state violence and police violence has been used against protesters in this country, but I think that the sheer volume of force that we are seeing and the sheer amount of placating we are seeing from political figures trying to figure out a way to somehow thread a needle that doesn't exist between the reactions of the police and the reactions of the people it's borderline pathetic, and it's upsetting, and it's enraging. And at this point, there's really, to my personal feeling, there's absolutely no room for fence sitting on any of this. Like, it's about what's morally right and what's morally just. It's about finding justice for people who have literally been killed by the state. And at this point, there's no room to say, well, I don't want to get involved in these politics, or I don't want to hear about this shit, or I don't want to be, I don't want to. I feel like both sides, there's just no room for it anymore.
The institutions have failed us. They have completely failed us as a citizenry. There's no leadership. The people we should be looking to take charge during these and try and unite have completely failed us. And as a population, I'm happy to see, and I'm proud to see people go out there and demand change.
Absolutely.
Oh, how you doing, Bacalar?
I'm okay. I think for me, I am very, like personally aware of the situations that come across my day to day. And the interactions I have with my friends and family. And I wonder, like, if this is the moment where, and I know it's a moment where most people, or at least some people, unfortunately, every time something like this happens, there is this, what I believe to be this sort of like shoulder, shrugging. And I think for me, in the interactions that I've had with my friends and family, this moment feels tangibly different in a way that I am happy to see, with the people that, friends, family, hockey teams, the all these different sort of groups of people that I interact with. I've noticed a tangible sort of inability to just ignore what's happening in a way that for whatever reason has been allowed previously, where you can just get away with turning a blind eye and just saying, oh, fuck it doesn't affect me, or something like that. And I think for me, in the experiences that I've had, I find that to be reassuring in some way, that there is some sort of tangible thing. And look, I don't really open up about this a lot. I have family members who I simply do not talk to anymore over situations like this. And I really, I don't think everyone's mind or point of view can be changed overnight, but at some point the weight is too much to bear. And I just hope that this is one of those moments. Sure.
I will. There are pinpricks of light that have kind of poked through this kind of whole dark place we're in. It is not nearly enough, and it is not nearly, given the past and the history of everything involved in this, is not even close to even a step forward. But it is heartening to see that this is generational change. This is big policy change. This is institutional change, and that stuff. It's not flip a switch, right? And I don't know how to get there. And this is why you hope you listen to the great leaders and have people who are inspirational, and they kind of lead you on this path. But it's the flood of voices and peoples and bodies, and it feels like it moved a millimeter, and that was enough even for me to say, wow, like, this is why. This is why you get out there. This is, again, not enough. And boy, keeping the volume up very important, because we've all seen the backsliding on things that platitudes that come out, right? That are, hey, no, we got this. We'll push. We'll take the screws to the right people, and we'll make sure. It's not easy, and and rooting out corruption in power is never easy, and it's hard. It's a battle.
And that battle is not going to be quickly won. It is not going to be over in short order. You know, it's like the impetus for this, the push for this was very much about individual cases and finding justice for individuals that were killed by police. But, you know, the system itself has to change. The system itself has to be dismantled from what it is now. And that is not something that's going to be fixed with, 4 arrests. That's not going to be something that's going to be fixed with, that's a start. But there's so much more that has to be done to completely rework the institution of policing in this country. And it's not going to come overnight. It's not going to come with a single case, but we're pushing for the beginnings of something. That's what this is now. And it's going to take a long time, and it's going to be a brutal fight, clearly, but it has to change. It has to.
I think this country can be better than this. I know this country can. I know that sounds like the most cliche thing in the world, but like, this, I have to believe it. We are the population of this country. These institutions should be a representation of us, and I think they have to be. And I think it's long, severely overdue to have that kind of a routing and just take it from me. Just because something is old doesn't mean it's good. You can just because something's been around a while doesn't mean it's the way it has to be, right? No, I'm serious though. But like,
no, of course,
you know what I'm saying? Like
the way I look at it is, and if someone can articulate this better than me, please do. I hope my point is taken the way I mean it to. No one is born racist, right? There is something that happens, and that's what needs to change. And I think, growing up, you're lying if you don't see where those moments happen. So and I think about my kid, and I think about like, those sort of like pureness of like his mentality and look at the world, and it's just a lot.
It's a lot. We've been talking to our kids. It's hard. It's hard. If your parents out there, it's super hard. I mean, this is not the first time this has happened. Even I have young kids. This has happened multiple times, and we've had this conversation multiple times. And I remember having a conversation with my son about slavery, right? And this was a while ago, and he was like, but the slaves were freed. And like, that's not the end of it. That's
the problem.
That's like kind of the beginning of the story in a lot of ways. Right. And that, I think that's important to, not only come from parents, but also come from integration within communities, come from the people who are affected the most, coming from, learning tolerance by being, in diversified places, because when you're not around other people who have other opinions or other skin tones, or, it becomes an other. Right. And it becomes something wondrous, and not just a person, and not just another fellow American. I feel like that's really, again, I feel like some of the language is so charged, but like, we're all here. We're all here. This isn't, we're all just, it's human, right? It's human, but you are in this country. You are given these rights. They cannot just be taken away like that. You don't lose those. That is, and then people have to be held accountable. It is accountability. And if you cannot have the privilege of enforcing that, then you've lost, and you have lost the public trust, and those organizations have lost the public trust. And I'm sorry that is, it is a privilege to serve these communities, and that has absolutely been eroded. And again, I'd say thank you to everybody who's been able to get out there. I know it's been very hard for people to do that, and kind of make sure that is heard out there. And And here we are trying to do a video game podcast. I think Austin may have put it, unless there's anything else to be said. We'll surely this isn't the last you'll hear. There are so many. I said this on the Bombcast. There are a lot of different fronts on this, right? And I think it's important to remember there are a lot of people doing a lot of really amazing work in different places. I looked up a thing a while ago about Twitter. Do you know like only 20% of America is on Twitter and like 70% is international? Which I thought that statistic was wildly skewed and I had no idea. But there is
that.
Yeah, I guess so. But there is people doing activism in communities. They're doing all over the internet in places. They are on foot. They are on the phone. There are all sorts of places. And thanks to everybody who's able to do that. Yeah. And so, and again, like Austin said on the Bombcast, should we attempt the impossible pivot? and try.
We have a choice at this point. We either do the impossible pivot or we're on this forever. So I think if we make our stand now and we make the pivot.
You have a dissolve thing or something?
There's no dissolve that makes it. No, there's nothing that makes this one work.
I'll take a star wipe.
All right,
you got a star wipe.
I think you just kind of yank the wheel and just everybody hold on to the little like thing by your door. And we'll start going down another road. I want to also thank you guys, Alex, Abby, and Jeff for being here, and you know this has helped me doing this job with all of you get through some of this.
Likewise, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Vinny.
Whew.